new participant. So in the basic micro teaching video, we understood what exactly is micro teaching. So from this video, we will be understanding each micro teaching skill in detail, as well as we will see the lesson plan of that micro teaching skill. So in this video, we'll start with the very first micro teaching skill. Let us start. Now, when you are teaching, you want your students to, which one you will prefer. So there will be two pictures, picture number one. This type of student do you prefer, or picture number two? Do you want your students to be like this? So this is what I believe you have selected picture number two, where your students should be active when you are teaching. So with this thought, let us proceed that during teaching learning process, the important skill we teachers should make use of is called as stimulus variation. So let us see the skill of stimulus variation. So micro teaching skill, that is stimulus variation. In this video, we will be studying. This is the first skill. Now, first doesn't mean that there's a sequence of the skill. Since we are learning in this particular online mode, I have done numbering of the skills. So this is the very first skill which we will be learning. Let us start and understand what exactly is the general meaning of the term stimulus. So stimulus is something which asks for response. A stimulus influences an action or a specific response. So this is a general meaning that any particular stimulus is given, then there will always be a response. So let us see what exactly is stimulus variation. Stimulus variation is the deliberate change in the behavior. Now please think, who is going to do this deliberate change? Yes, you are absolutely correct. This is the teacher. The teacher is going to deliberately change the behavior, bring variation in her behavior, so that there is secure and sustainment of pupils' attention. So to secure and sustain students' attention, the teacher makes deliberate use of various different behaviors, changes her or his behavior, so that students pay attention, they participate in the teaching learning process. So let us proceed to the next slide. The attention drawing behaviors of a teacher. So now from this particular slide, we will see the various stimulus variation, which are attention drawing behaviors of the student. Very first, just take care that we need to greet our learners, respond to their greetings also. When they greet us, good morning ma'am, good morning sir, we also need to make sure that we respond to their greetings. Also have confidence but not arrogance. Make sure that since you are a teacher in the classroom, yes, you need to have confidence, but do not make that confidence as arrogance that apart from you, no one knows anything. That should not be there. Okay. Have that learning attitude within yourself. Continuation, have presence of mind. So sometimes when we need this particular thing, a common sense, a presence of mind, so always have this with you, and also look at the learners and have eye contact. So whenever you are teaching, whenever you're greeting your learners, make sure you have an eye contact. This feels that students are connected. This makes the student connected with you during the teaching learning process. Also, the most important thing is have a smile. Have a pleasant way of teaching in the classroom. Have that particular thing that you are imparting the next generation some information, knowledge, and also learning something from them. So with this, let us start with the stimulus variation. Very first is, if you see this picture, that is a lady dancing, a cricketer is playing the cricket, and also a painter is painting. Now, all these three pictures, if we see, these people in their profession requires movement. So how these people requires movement in their professions, similarly, we teachers also require, the most important is movements. Okay. So this movement has to be the purposeful movements of the teacher. There is always, see, understand, this is deliberate, purposeful. We are very much clear why we are doing this. Okay. Because there's an objective behind movement also. So just moving from one place to another while teaching, just making sure that if a child is not paying attention, moving little closer to where the child is sitting, some specific movements are required when we are teaching in the classroom. Okay. So this is what is the teacher should know the art of movements to attract the attention of the learner. Sometimes writing on the CB, sometimes showing pictures, all these also include movements. Okay. Right now in the online teaching learning, how we are sitting or standing, also the hand movements, all this are considered in the movements. Let us move ahead with the second stimulus variation. This is what is gestures. Okay. So, oral presentation is more expressive and effective when combined with gestural ones. Now, please think that if only we speak without any gesture, it will not give any particular point. So, there has to be gestures. Now, gestures can be head, that is, we can shake our head, nod our head while teaching. We can have hand gestures also. We can also have facial expression and eye movements. Now, these are very much important in our teaching learning process. So, whenever there is a need, appropriate gestures are required in our teaching learning process. Let us move to the other part of stimulus variation behavior. Now, if you see the picture, the person is showing voice. Okay, the voice is coming. Okay, so this is nothing but the teacher should have the ability of voice modulation. Okay, so change in the speech pattern, change in the pitch of the voice whenever there is a requirement is very much essential. The speed of the voice. So this is where the teacher can grab the attention of their learners. Let us see the next part. This is what is focusing. Okay, the word suggests to focus. Okay, so in this particular stimulus variation, the teacher is going to ask students to focus, that is to direct student attention. So this can be verbal, that is teacher will say, okay, please listen to this. Please see over here, like this teacher can say. Teacher can have a gestural focusing. Teacher can use a ruler and put that particular point towards that particular important word. Verbal, gestural, both speaking as well as making sure that students see that gesture. So this is what is focusing about. We move towards the other part of stimulus variation, that is change in interaction style. Change in interaction style are into four different areas. Very first is, that is when a teacher is explaining to her learners. So it can be teacher explaining to all the learners or teacher giving a particular question, asking a question to all the learners. The next interaction style is teacher pupil. Teacher asks question to that particular individual student itself or asks students to give example or do some particular thing in the classroom. The third one is pupil pupil. Now, there are various ways of teaching, say, for example, cooperative learning, in which the students together sit and learn that content. So, this is what is there's an interaction between pupils related to the content. And the last one is pupil teacher. The pupil today can also ask teacher questions if they haven't understood. The pupil can add on, learners can add on to the content, give various examples, share their understanding and knowledge in the classroom as well as with the teacher. So this is very much essential. It is not that only one teacher keeps on speaking and students are just listening passively. To make sure there is an active involvement of the learners, we need to have interaction styles which are different in one single class. Let us proceed to the other part, pausing. As the word says, pause, that is nothing but short and deliberate intervals of silence. So this is what is when the teacher is going to do that while moving from one subcontent to another. So take a small pause. Okay. Next, it is after raising questions. So when we raise a question, Naturally, we want students to respond. So before student respond, he will surely think about it. So give some moment of silence, wait for a while so that students are ready to answer the question. After showing picture or image, make sure that you wait for a while, you pause for a while so that students understand, okay, this is what is the picture about. And the last one is to discipline the student. Sometimes it happens that students are continuously shouting. So what happens is, instead of teachers shouting and asking them to keep quiet, pause for a while, stand for a while, and just look at the learners. They will surely stop talking. So this is few of the example where teacher can use this short deliberate intervals of silence to make her lesson effective. Let us move towards the other part, oral visual switching. Now, what exactly is oral visual switching? It is nothing but showing various pictures, maps, graph. There are GIF images nowadays. We show videos to our learners, video instructions. Along with that, we can give explanation. We can show demonstration by using actual specimens or models. Also playing a audio, just students can listen to that particular audio. Also nowadays we do use Google Form, quizzes, Kahoot, and online worksheet. So this is very much essential that in the teaching learning process, teacher make use of various teaching aids so that the learning becomes interesting for their learners. Let us proceed to the other part. After oral visual switching, we have using varied methodologies. Now, there are a number of methods of teaching. Few of them I will be displaying right now. Teacher can use lecture cum discussion, that is both lecture as well as discussion with the students. Also, teacher can have a role play, storytelling, dramatization, project method where teacher provides project to the learners to do by themselves. Survey method can be used if the students are of higher standard. Questioning can be used, discussions can be used, seminar, workshop, dialogue method, case study method. Now, few of these methods are for the higher level learners, but always make sure that you use different methods of teaching, excuse me, so that the learners are interested in their teaching learning process. Then it is a demonstration method. You can also conduct a short debate. Game-based teaching are more popular nowadays. Also, we can take students to virtual tour instead of taking them to visit. Surely visit is also a best way of making sure students get direct learning experiences. If not, virtual tour can be taken. We can have cooperative learning, constructivism, blended learning, and by using various activities, we can teach the content. So teacher can use varied methodologies in her teaching learning process. So this is also makes the content interesting, and there is a stimulus provided ki, okay, today my teacher is teaching in this way, maybe after few days, if you're going to teach in the same class, you will be teaching a different content with a different method, which makes the content very interesting for the learners. Let us proceed with the next one. Now, what we have seen is that these are all the methods or the ways of making sure that we attract or grab the attention of the learner. The most important thing which we need to notice what to change, when to change, and how much to change requires a skill on the part of the teacher for securing and sustaining attention of the learner. So we have seen, yes, teacher have to make use of different methods of teaching. Teacher also have to use different teaching aids. Teacher can also make use of oral visual switching, also changes in interaction style, gestures, movements, pausing, so many things. But as a teacher, we should know how much to change, when to change, what to change. That is our understanding and experience is going to teach us. So let us proceed with this particular thing. Now I will be showing you a lesson plan of skill of stimulus variation. So let us see how we will be preparing the lesson plan. I hope you can see this particular lesson plan. So this is what is the heading, micro teaching skill, skill of stimulus variation. You can write your name over here, the date, subject, introduction, that is the topic, that is for this particular thing, it is introduction of economy, and standard to which this particular topic it is. Okay. So please take care. We are talking about skill of stimulus variation. So therefore, if you see, I have highlighted few things which is basically related to this particular skill. Now, please understand, we are only and only concentrating on this stimulus variation skill because this is a micro teaching skill and we are learning the micro parts of teaching, okay, overall teaching or a macro lesson. So this is a specific skill, therefore, specific skill of stimulus variation requires specific lesson plan, okay. So the teacher greets the student, good morning. So how the teacher shows her stimulus variation. Now, if you see over here, looking at the student's facial expression. So teacher looks at the student, she provides a smiley face, she is smiling, she's smiling. That doesn't mean we need to show our teeth, but you need to have a good, a pleasant smile while you're wishing good morning. It should be seen that yes, it's a good morning. Then we proceed towards the content part. Teacher is going to talk about that students in the last class, we have discussed about how economics deal with production, distribution, consumption, and goods and services. In this class, we will continue to understand about the concept of economics. So listen carefully. So this is how the teacher is going to talk about the content. So teacher, while doing this, since this is a physical classroom, we are assuming the teacher is going to have some specific deliberate movements. Also, teacher is going to focus when you see. So listen carefully. So this is nothing but verbal focusing. And also there will be a voice modulation when the teachers talk about this. Now the teacher is going to raise one question. So this is a question teacher is going to raise. That is what you will do if you have 2000 rupees. So change in interaction style, that is when we ask question, naturally the student is going to respond. And also the teacher is going to show that 1000 rupees note. So that acts as a teaching aid and teacher is going to pause. Similarly, if you see, this is how the overall process will continue. That teacher later asks about this next question and teacher is going to also write on the CB the major important points related to the content which she is discussing. There will be also gestures, change in speech pattern, and various other focusing, movements, oral visual switching, change in interaction style, voice modulation. So this is how we can prepare our complete stimulus variation lesson plan of 5 minutes. So you can take a simple topic of your own pedagogy subject and prepare this stimulus variation lesson plan. Do highlight the stimulus variation which you are going to use, so which makes it very clear that what you are going to do. I hope this is okay with the lesson plan. We proceed towards the last part of the presentation. So let us start. So we have seen the lesson plan of stimulus variation. So let us summarize. In this particular video, we saw stimulus variation, its meaning, the various attention drawing skills or behaviors, and also the lesson plan of stimulus variation. So I hope you must have understood the content. So let us conclude. Thus, to make sure that in teaching learning process, students remain awake and involved, we teachers make use of nothing but stimulus variation. So do use stimulus variation in your teaching learning process. I hope you have understood the content. Thank you. I hope you have understood the content.